Love is selfish. Love is discrimination. Love is greed. What is done out of love takes place beyond good and evil. Those who do not know what love is likens it to beauty. Those who claim to know what love is likens it to ugliness. These are some of my favorite quotes about love. The first one, love is greed, is mine. I'm sure, someone's said it before, but I guess it'd be my argument. So, love is discrimination. We'll start with that, is the famous line from Vinland Saga. And I think that's true. I think it is, because, for example, I think it means that we will and tend to discriminate against the rest of the world or others for a specific person that we love. And what I mean by that is that I think this love thing, whatever the hell it is, if it's a feeling or value or something, tends to you are prejudiced to that person. You're prejudiced against everybody else for that person. And I don't mean that that's a bad thing or anything. I think it's fine. I think it's beautiful. And I think it's important. And however, can be a very painful thing. Tragic. Demoralizing. And can lead you into madness. And there's always an aspect of madness into it. But, Nietzsche, brilliant, genius, he, his words always get at least a reaction from people. He once proclaimed, I'm paraphrasing, but he compared love to greed. And what I think that means is that it's all of these quotes, let's say, are pretty similar, at least in theme, or their form of understanding of love. And I think it's a deeply personal thing, especially the form we're talking about, which is usually between two people, right? Perhaps a romantic form of love. And he says, how greedful of you that you want to preserve this person or thing to yourself. None of the world, no one else can have it. It's yours. And only specific things, this other person can't share their love with another person by sleeping with them or just talking or anything like that. It's all yours. And you decide that. How incredibly greedy of you, right? However, Nietzsche didn't mean it, once again, as a bad thing. He thought this was beautiful. He thought this was very important for people, because it's a lonely world and you need someone to deal with that. And so when he said, what is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil. Well, this is pretty obvious. This is pretty obvious. You can see this all the time. For example, if let's say you're at a family, and your maybe your brother or your cousin, or someone, part of your family, does does something, maybe like they break like the TV or something, you know because they're drunk or something, and they hit it or fall on top of it and break it, right? And it's let's say it's this TV is your aunt's TV, and your brother broke it, right? Even though to most outsiders it's clear that it is your brother's fault that the TV is broken, if you love your brother, you're always gonna be on his side, right? It doesn't matter about any of that, wishy-washy or like logical understandings or reasonable interpretation of the situation. All it matters is that it's your brother. You're gonna be on their side. So this moral characters, and that's a mundane example. You see that get out of hand very quickly, a lot. I mean, you can see what people tend to rationalize in their mind about their love, and especially like if their partner is a bit demented and manipulates them into doing horrible things for them, and they think they're still morally correct in that because they're doing it out of love, and they really can't think straight. But so that would be it. So Gein's quote: "Those who do not know what love is likens it to beauty. Those who claim to know what love is likens it to ugliness." Now, I wanna talk about this with Socrates' understanding of love. Where this is from I believe, a play from Plato. Play from Plato, nice. Or and one of the Socratic dialogues, and so it's a gathering of the philosophers and other aristocrats, basically. And so they basically had a dinner party, and they go around the room asking everyone, define love. Very Socratic, and obviously Plato, his senpai, he goes to Socrates, and Socrates answers last, and this is what he says. And Socrates says, "My friend, she told me this is what love is," or definition, right? So he says, the first form of love is what is known as sort of this bodily love. And bodily love, he explains, is basically like the physical, like attractiveness of a person, like the shape of their body, how their eyes is, maybe how they smell, etc. Just like the person looks hot, right? That's what it means. Very surface level. But Socrates says this isn't a bad thing at all. It just like this is how you first, because when you first meet a person, you don't know the in-depth psychology of that person. You don't know who they are. The only thing you can know is how they look, right? How they smell, maybe how they talk. Maybe not even how they talk, just like their appearance wise. So this is the first form, and this is not invalid, but it's not. It's superficial, right? So, and then he goes to. Then comes the second form of love, and he says this is love of the human being, right? This other person. This is another living, breathing, blood and flesh human being. It's not just a sexual or like a pleasure object, right? And you begin to know their personalities, or he doesn't really say personality, he says soul, right? And he says, now when you love that person's personality, when you love them all, everything about them, maybe even their flaws and everything, you don't notice those things. This is the second form of love, sort of it's still got the bodily love of the physical appearance wise, and a love of the human being underneath, right? So it's a combination of those things. And then comes this third layer. This is basically where Socrates gets into more. I think those first two explains Gein's quote very well. I mean, it's pretty dead on, right? Maybe Kubo read the Socratic dialogues in some way, but so the third form, he says, is that love, whatever it is not just interpersonal thing between just two people. It's higher than that. This third form of love, you love the person, yes, you love their body, yes, you love their personality, you love their soul, but it's not just that. It's that you love because that person is, this person is a product of their culture, their family structure, their personal experiences, the world that they inhabit. So what that means is that person's personality is not just unique, or not necessarily that it's not unique. It's more of the, like, it's shaped by society and their preconceptions. So what that means, so a lot of the things you like about them and their personality is the product of the ideas and the standard society sits upon that person. This could be that maybe the person maybe the society has long hair as the norm, and the woman has long hair, or the men have long hair, and you like long hair. So that's sort of like an unoffensive truth, just example, but there's more. There's more. It could be that the shape of their body is shaped by it, or they're very kind, which is promoted by the culture, right? Or the idea of kindness really appeals to you, right? So that is what. So you love the ideas and the concept that other person embodies. So that is the third form of love. And then Socrates goes on to, and he says this form of love is insanely powerful, and just the first two forms are just good enough for people. The bodily and the love of the human being are just enough, and most people will have that in their lifetime, and they'll be very happy, and people should be very grateful for that. But then he goes on to say, but then there's this fourth level. It's it's very Socrates and Plato. Obviously Plato's basically completely shaped by Socrates, and Plato absolutely loved Socrates. But it's sort of the Platonic idea of beauty, good, kindness, etc., things like that, is what love is. Love of knowledge, love of people, love of the world, love of human beings, love of beauty. So it evolves into this transcendent, enlightened the value and love of just existence, or at least the positive sides of existence. And that is truly, and it's nearly impossible for just basic human beings to even conceptualize that. But so that would be Socrates' idea of love. And just basically finish this off, I apologize. I'm just a high school student trying to explain Socrates, but so I wanted to say, I always thought that I don't mean this to be in a negative way. I don't think it's negative. I think it's just a different perspective. I think there is no selfless form of love. I think all love is selfish. And I know that might be, a bit offensive to people, but I don't mean that. I just mean that I don't mean that that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it matters what you do with that love. And what I mean is that even the most selfless form of love, the altruism, we could say, let's say if you're I always give this example, is that if you're playing like basketball with someone or whatever, and you two are like best friends, right? So obviously you love each other, and your best friend, the basketball goes out into the road, and your best friend goes to get it, right? And a truck is coming, they don't see it, and they're about to run them over, and you run to the road, push them out the way, and you're killed. And most people, would say that is extremely selfless of them, or selfless of you, and you love your best friend so much, that how incredible, how selfless of you, etc. However, I would argue that no, that is very selfish of you, because, well, if that person wasn't your best friend that was on that road, if that person was just a random person, would you push them out the way and sacrifice your life because you love them? Probably not. Most people probably wouldn't. Some people maybe, but most people probably not. I don't even know if most people die for the best friend. Anyways, just for scenario's sake. But what if that person was a bad person? There's no way you would push them out the way and sacrifice your life. And what I mean by this is that I just think, I know but I think the reason, the thing you love about them, you love them, right? It's not like you can't force yourself to love someone. You just can't. We all know how that works out. If you've ever experienced that, it doesn't go too well. And that can really be damaging, not only to you, but your partner, because your partner is maybe such a wonderful person, and you can't force yourself to love them, even though you think you should, because, they're an angel, right? However, you can't do that. So when you love that person, it's all about you. It's because you felt those things, and you've made that deep care, although you have no control over it, but that's just how things came to be. So it doesn't, like, if that person, it's not because that person is your kind, it's not because that person is a good person. There's millions of people like that in the world. It's because that person specifically is your best friend. It's because you care about that person. It's because you value that person. You love that person. That's why you sacrifice yourself. It has nothing to do with that other. If you had completely different feelings for them, you wouldn't have done it. It depends completely on your beliefs. And I don't mean that like that's a bad thing. I think that's fine. That's wonderful. All I just want to stress is, I just hope everyone can find at least someone, even just one, that they love. Thank you for watching.